Good evening, good evening. Yes, we are here this evening again to do what we do best. 33 murders in 13 days. We also have the police's report. Let me just read something from the police real quick here. The Jamaica Consular Force reporting continuous success of this intelligence-led operations and police presence in 2024 as 20 firearms were seized in the first week of the new year, including 3 rifles. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our topic this evening. And also, Dr. Francis will join us shortly to talk about the planned protests that he have and why on this Friday, the 19th. Here to talk to us about the issues at hand is no other than Ronald Sutherland and, of course, Chris Durant. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening.
All right. I am really excited to talk about these things of concern because we are indeed concerned Jamaicans. And if we have 33 murders in the first 13 days, I think that called for concern, even though it was up to par with last year's 2023. It was 33 around the same time in 13 days. But so that means we're not seeing any change. And I'm hearing the Jamaica Constabulary Force saying that they continue their progress as in the first week they seized 20 guns. But I really want to talk about that. But something happened yesterday, Master, and I think you want to weigh in on this. Let me see if I could play this real quick, and then we jump on that. Even though this wasn't planned, I'm gonna play this. Let you hear and see if you want to weigh in on this a little bit.
If we ignore the victims and the victims' families, they will say this parliament is pursuing injustice rather than justice. And this parliament, Madam Speaker, must balance and ensure that the victims and the victims' families feel that the sentence that we are sending and the sentence of the court reflect the act that the offender did to the victim. No, we are not going to hang them. And I'm the first to tell you I don't believe in hanging.
Well, I don't know what to think about Robert Montague outburst in Parliament yesterday about hanging people that is accused of, including kids, of course, because they were talking about kids just before that. Do you have anything to say about that, or Saran?
Well, this is not new from Robert Montague. If you've been following him, you'd have heard him say, a few years ago, hang them high. I think he was taking that from the Wild West, back in the day. Hang them high at noon, So he has been pretty consistent with demanding the most, what is severe, punishment for particularly murder. And he is unapologetic about his support for capital punishment. I mean, when I say capital punishment, I mean murder. That hang them, take them life. That whether it's by hanging or by electric, execution, whatever it is. So he has been pretty consistent about that. Now, where I have a problem with it, to be very honest with you, because even though the Minister of Justice personally does not support hanging, he's also relying on very severe punishment for crime. That is what he's relying on that. And that has been our reliance forever, because we used to hang people. We used to hang people. I think the last time we hung somebody was in the latter part of the 1980s. But the fact of the matter is, I think that's an error on our part, where we are relying on severe, penalties, for crime. I think it's a huge mistake.
Ronnie, do you know the statistics concerning the effects of hanging? Did it reduce crime? Just a question.
Well, the fact of the matter is, when the last hanging that we had happened in a period where murders, homicide was probably a third or so of what it is now.
Today.
In the 1980s, homicide was just over 500 per year, like 540 in that way. Whether hanging had anything to do with it is anyone's guess. But what we do know is that we just kept having more and more murders per year from independence all the way up.
So it's a fear tactics then. It's like a fear thingy, like drive fear into people when to have such severe penalty.
That is it. That is what they're trying to do. They believe that if people hear that they're gonna get hung or they're gonna go to prison for 40 years or 50 years, then that would, deter, crime. But that has just not had that effect at all. And the thing is, there's something that will make crime go down, which is separate and apart from how severe the penalty is.
From punishment.
How severe the punishment is, rather.
Right.
Because the fact is, if you make it hanging or make it 50 years or 60 years, and you're not catching the people, you're not catching and convicting them, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter. And as it stands right now, 95% of the people who go around killing people in Jamaica walk scotch-free.
Right.
95%. Now, if you have a certainty, 95% is almost I am certain to walk free. And that 5% that we're catching to send to jail for 15 years or 25 years or so. In there are some murders that we all know who they are. These are domestic. So a huge part of it are domestic killing. So there was no need to search to find the person. Is a man chop up somebody over land, or a man kill his girlfriend in a fit of rage, and so on and so forth. The point I'm making is that almost 100% of the guy would walk up to a bar and shoot somebody and walk away, or would kill somebody and because of inter-gang crime or violence and so on and so forth. Like 100%, almost 100% of them get away. So I'm speaking from the point of view that the only deterrent to crime, it is not about how severe the punishment is. No. It's about the certainty of being caught. And
thank you, Ronnie. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, that's the point. And we have not done a good job over our entire 60 years of independence of bringing up that certainty. That boy, when a man kills someone, in other words, only 5% are being convicted now for murder until you're able to bring it up to 51%. In other words, if it goes to 51%, what you're saying is you have a higher likelihood of being caught than not. Look how far 51 is from 5.
So it's another case of putting the cart before the horse. Then, there are other things that they need to deal with before they get to even the penalty, the phase of things. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying so, but it has been deliberate, It's a choice that we have made. It's a choice that we have made, and I think I made the point before, that we are taking a different approach to law enforcement in Jamaica from what the United States take, from what the British people take, from what people in Germany. Those people, they are very big on catching people who commit crime. Right, so they put in place the best technology, they build capacity. And not only that, when you hear them calling and asking people to help, when you hear about the police need the citizens to help and the people to help and so on and so forth, people are only going to help the government when the people is of the perception that the government is mightier than the killers then. And it takes a certain deliberate move to make the state mightier than the murderers. In other words, just think about what happened in America. Some of the force I see them put on display from time to time. They do it very deliberately just to remind the average American that the state is powerful.
Yeah, right.
Back in the 80s and so on, and sometime the 70s and little later into when the Russian people, you go there and you're seeing Red Square and them, and them put on some big missiles and truck and running down, a Red Square to show off the might of the forces and so on. A lot of people believe that they were trying to show the world how powerful the state of Russia was. That was not, they were showing the people of Russia how mighty. So when the citizens say that, the state is powerful and more powerful than the regular little gunman who walk around killing people, that is when they will help the state. But as soon as they believe that there's what you consider to be contestable forces in the country to the state, you're not going to help the state.
I don't know if I should ask this question, but I'm going to try. If you're not comfortable answering it, then it's fine, because I'm going to ask all you guys this question. If you were in charge today of national security, or Prime Minister, the man who called the shots, what would be your approach given the crisis that we have now in Jamaica?
Well, I just spell it out. I just start from a simple principle. And I'd have it before I pass that to Dr.
But I just wanted to break it down. I heard it in what you said, and that's what prompted my question.
So let me start from a simple principle. And this is what our government has failed to take on board. That the primary responsibility of the government, those of us who study Thomas Hobbes, back in the day, that great philosopher, the primary responsibility of the government of a country is to keep the citizens safe.
Right.
The primary responsibility is not to build bridges, it's not to build schools, it's not to build hospitals, it is to keep the citizens safe. I am telling you that a lot of people, more people in Jamaica, would be happy if we had safety of the citizens, where we could go out at 12 o'clock and walk up and down the road until 3 o'clock the next morning, go back home safely, and had less education, less primary health care, because that is job number one. If you go and look at Maslow's theory, the hierarchy of needs, after food and shelter, the very next thing that comes after food, after you eat, is safety.
Safety and
security. So the government, when you're stacking up what you need to do, your priority has to reflect that.
Right.
I'm going to end it by showing you how serious I am about it. About 4 or 5 years ago, the government had a choice to make. People were complaining in Jamaica about having to pay what they call development fee at school, which was about $20,000. Some people are complaining, but the vast majority of people were just paying it. No problem, because the people that want the money to go into extracurricular activities, probably to help with their library and so on and so forth. So the school were collecting it. The government came in and said, no, that time the other general one, what was it, Minister of Education at that time, they came in and said, no, don't pressure the people to pay around $20. We will pay. And stop the people, stop the school from enforcing it. And they went into their pocket and took out $2.2 billion to pay down that money. While at the same time, police cars were there with puncture tires, police cars were there without gas, can't attend and drive and fight crime. So the priority has been pretty lopsided away from citizen safety. I'll just leave it there and take,
So, Chris, let me ask you this. Over 33 murders in 13 days. Crime is a big issue in Jamaica, and we are all concerned Jamaicans. And the question that I want to ask is similar to what I asked Mr. Sutherland just now. If you were in charge, what would be your strategy, given the fact that you have the best of both worlds. You're Jamaican, you're in law enforcement in the US. I think you would have you can give me a good idea. What approach would you take?
Well, first I think you have to know clearly what your problem is before you can apply or address a solution, right? So get a proper assessment of really what's going on in Jamaica. Hopefully the statistics gathering capabilities are sufficient that this amount of murders that are occurring every year, or crime in general, right, events, are properly documented. You know where we are, and listen, isn't this you guys don't notice this? Every January of every new year, it's the same thing to talk about. You don't notice that?
Every year, yeah.
Rate is this, it went up again. Is this, is that? We already have 10 for the year. It's only a week, or like in this case, less pretty much 2 weeks, and it's 33 already, right?
No, we exceed that long time. In 13 days, we have 33. So I'm pretty sure we are in the 17th day now. So it exceeded the 33.
So we keep repeating the same thing over and over again. Right? Obviously, we're not. Whatever measures are being taken or people in place,
the approach is not right.
Right. So now go back to your question. Sorry. So properly assess where we are with the crime rate. Okay. And then you apply the solutions that we have, because you can't use anything more than what resources you have. Make an assessment of what needs to be done to fight this crime, to reduce the crime, the level of crime.
What is causing the crime?
Well, that's
right. Mm-hmm.
And also assess what resources you have to apply to reduce the crime. Right? Okay. Yeah. When you make an assessment of that, you will figure out how short you are on resources in Jamaica. Like you say, you don't have enough police cars, maybe not enough police officers, and then in the underlying issues, including their pay. All right, that is another thing for motivation.
They're vastly compromised by that.
Right. How well trained they are? Do they have the tools to do their job? Are they properly motivated? Not just pay now. You're talking about corruption. Right. That is one big thing that is a problem in a lot of organizations, period, not just law enforcement. You have to have the support of your upper management to feel confident in doing your job, and you have to also have the ability to do your job without interference.
Right.
Okay? And I think those are some of the factors that are affecting Jamaica. And I have to bring up that point that Ronnie mentioned, the priority. And I mentioned it twice before on two of your programs before. At the end of the program, when you asked me, I keep mentioning that same thing, and Ronnie bring up the same thing. It is not prioritized.
No.
Right? It's not prioritized. I'm sorry. These SOEs are not working, folks. Come on. If you're trying to do something and you're applying a particular method, technique, what have you, and it's not working, find another way to do it. You understand?
Right.
But apparently they're stagnated by, I don't know what seems to, if it's not working, change your methodology, change your approach. It's the thing is that why isn't it a priority? Right? Is it because
that's the question?
Why is it a priority? How can it not be a priority? One of y'all mentioned, Ronnie, one of y'all mentioned that and I don't mean to use the US as an example, but that's the only example I can because I was a
no, we use it all the time when it's convenient, so it's okay.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the U.S. has a great deal of resources. Don't forget that now. So when they say the U.S. Overwhelmingly responds to crime, it's because they have the resources. All right, let's be fair. Police response is tremendous. They'll you have a crime in the area, say there's a fugitive on the loose, they launch a helicopter. They got boats, they got planes, they got all called other departments close by. They have K9 units. I mean, SWAT teams. It's phenomenal, right? You see it on TV. I'll search YouTube in these situations. You'll see, what they have. I get it. Jamaica don't have those resources, but Jamaica don't have the same kind of problems, right? And Jamaica's a lot smaller. The whole dynamics of crime in Jamaica is a little different. It's a lot smaller country with more, if you will, manageable data. Let me just say. Right? Because the U.S. is a big place and people commit crimes all over the place. So you have to put it together. Hence, the federal government does that. Right?
Right.
So, keeping in line with your question, I don't want to digress too much. That is what I'd be doing. Looking at those things, assessing what your resources are, because you need to know what you have, and finding a way to supply that. Okay,
Right.
because and I don't see that happening in Jamaica. Ronnie, you're down there. You tell me otherwise. If you see them making such an assessment.
I don't want to keep Dr. Francis too quiet, even though he needs the rest. He has been working,
Patient.
working, and I've never seen him so quiet in all my life. Good evening, Dr. Francis. How you doing?
Good evening, my friends. How are you?
We're doing fine. I know you are very busy, especially mentally. You have a lot going on after you write that letter that caused a lot of problems. But let me ask you the question, Dr. Francis. In our last show, you mentioned that the diaspora has made offers and the government refused. And so I think this question would be very much appropriate to ask you. If you were in the seat to direct, to give the directives or to help to solve the crime situation that we have in Jamaica, what are some of the things, or what would be your approach toward fixing it?
Well, first of all, I would listen and I would borrow some of Ronnie's ideas and I'd borrow some of Chris's ideas. And wherever the ideas to come from, I would certainly find out, the efficacy of all of them. But technically, what I couldn't disagree with, one thing that perhaps both persons have said, I may not necessarily disagree, but the methodology is another thing, in the sense that I would kind of do it differently. But I do believe that, as Ronnie was saying, there are some factors that are causing what is happening in Jamaica, and time and time again, he's seen them, and he has an assessment as how he would deal with them, which I would work with, in fact, and I would work with him on those. And Chris alluded to the idea that we needed an audit, a crime audit, literally, and Ronnie too, that we need an audit, and it was offered to the Jamaican government to do a crime audit as they did in other countries, and they were able to reduce the crime because they had the information. They were able to put it together, and they did it over a period of time. It was actually Professor Herbert Gale that did it, and they were able to do it in Belize and other countries, and they were able to successfully reduce crime and violence. Now, we may disagree on a couple of things as to how we're going to get there. As if I were, first of all, I don't believe that. I do believe that crime is a multifaceted approach thing, and only a few people, and I've said this before, were born as criminals. So therefore, it's a biopsychosocial event. So we have the psychological, and we have we are products of our environment, and Aristotle and all of those brilliant people at Hobbes and all that, I'm sure, as Ronnie alluded, would have mentioned that. We are products of our environment. So we have to find out how we can, and Chris talked about the SOEs and so on. And having been in the army, I can tell you the SOEs were not intended to be utilized like that. Was not intended. The Prime Minister also came on today talking about the hospital, and that no gangs would have been involved in the process of building this new hospital, for example. And right in this audience was a gang member down inside there. The picture is there. So I'm just trying to say to you that, there's many a step between the cup and the lip, and we don't have all the answers. But what we do know is if you take care of the people, as Ronnie was alluding to, you take care of them and you provide the means whereby they can go through Maslow's theory up to self-actualization, then that's a way to go. And it tells you quite clearly, and I've turned Maslow's upside down in terms of using, for example, safety as the number one priority. Right now in Israel, and I don't like to go into that, those things, the safety is a number one issue. Safety is an issue in Jamaica, a number one issue, right? So we have to deal with it. Personal, private safety. People are afraid to talk, right? Coming to dead culture, etc., etc. They are afraid to talk. No, the fact, how did we get here? We got here somehow over years and years of neglect and not dealing with the issue, not talking to each other. There are other countries that have done it. And it doesn't have to be huge countries like the United States, as my colleague Chris has alluded to. Yes, they don't have, but they do have countries, small countries who have done that because they got the people involved and showed them the difference between not having safety as an issue and having safety as an issue.
I spoke to a colleague of mine a
Yes.
few times this week, and he alluded to the fact that probably if we get a change of government, that would do it. And I was cracking up because a change of government, we had suffered with crime. To the two government that the two party system that we have over the years, none had paid any keen attention, if you ask me, to crime. I think they're just getting in there to do what they're doing. We have two political parties in Jamaica, but the one mentality.
Let me give you a statistic.
So none of them won't make a difference. I must
give you a
say that.
statistic on that. If you look at the past 20 years, no government has really made a significant dent on crime. It was not like that the previous 20 years or 40 years. And obviously, so the point you're made very, very significantly here. How do we fix it? By listening and do not demonize the messenger. We have a situation right now where we're working on in the United States right now. We are bringing everything to boot in that we're going to have
yes, Dr. Francis, I'm definitely going to ask you to talk a little bit more on that.
Yes,
go ahead.
A protest. And some people are asking me, will that make a difference? Of course it will make a difference. And if it doesn't make a difference, then we really have some tough-headed people that are not listening and don't tell me where they are. Okay, I want to address one thing that Ronnie said. I've studied crime for a number of years, and I know that capital punishment can be a deterrent. Some people argue it cannot be, but I know that in some populations it is not desired. I don't want to kill off people, but the fact of the matter, what Ronnie said, if they can be caught, and the only reason why they can't be caught is we do not engage the people of the country. We have to engage the people of the country in the sense that to make them understand that it is more important to be safe than to be sorry. Right? And that's my view, let me tell you, if all of us, when we're growing up, Ronnie is a little bit closer to me not even, I don't know. But anyway, when we're growing up, we had a greater respect for each other. We had a greater respect in our communities. We believe that the village should take the village to raise the child. Okay, we believe that
modernization don't allow that anymore, though. The modern world that we're living in don't allow that anymore.
If that's the case, then we're lost. I don't believe that we are lost.
Dr. Francis, can I interrupt you and just ask you one thing before we move on so I get clear? When you say engage the people, what exactly are you talking about? For example, are you saying about getting information from people to assist the police in solving crimes? Is that what you meant?
Working in communities, community by community, and you can resolve the crime issue. I know this is a fact because hold on, before you go, I'm telling you, we have tested it. We have tested it and we have evidence. I'm not going to put these people on, we have tested it and we have done it. Yes.
Where is the confidence? Where is the confidence in the people to work with the police when there's corruption? Where's the confidence in the people? Let me finish out. No, because that's a big issue. Even if you want to give police information about a horrible criminal in your community, right? You don't, because I've heard cases where your information is not kept secret.
No, police is too compromised.
You or your family get murdered.
Police is too compromised to be trusted.
No, hold on. Can I finish my thought, please? Because I am telling you, gentlemen, right now, I have evidence which I'm not going to speak on this platform about. We're for 5 years in that volatile community. There has been no killings and stabbings and anything in that community in Jamaica. I guarantee you. And they talk to the police, and the police are involved with it, and so on. And so I'm not going any further, but I can tell you it is happening right in Jamaica. And if
you can duplicate that to other areas in Jamaica, and eventually get it.
So what is preventing that? If that is working in a community in Jamaica, what is preventing that from other communities
Ron
duplicating
said
that?
it's safety in some people. They are working in communities. We have to find a way for them to trust government, to trust the people they're dealing with. It is not happening in some communities, majority of communities.
I want to ask Sir Ron a question. NITS, you remember the whole introduction of NITS? Ronnie, you remember that, right?
Yeah,
What happened to that? Because I think that is a very effective crime fighting tool. I don't know if you share that sentiment. What happened to that? I think that would be very effective.
Let me tell you what I remember about it. In the same way that the
Maybe Chris don't know what we're talking about.
national.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Go ahead.
NITS, right. No, I'm saying we have a situation. Let me just get a little bit more historical, to address, because sometimes we are trying to solve a problem, with some quick fixes that are ingrained in our culture. It took years to bring us to where we are at, and then we don't understand. I'm going to start out with one thing first. I think I made this point sometime before, where after the current Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, in 2016, when he was going to the election, he put up crime as one of his competitive messaging. That's when he talked about you can go to bed and sleep with the door open and your windows open and all that kind of thing. It was frightening to a lot of people because they have never heard any political leader put so much emphasis on crime in a political arena. And when he was done with that, Mr. Phillips, go back and check the news, and I probably can pull clips of it. Mr. Phillips, who was now opposition leader, he said that there was an unwritten rule between the both political parties that they do not put crime on the table.
What?
I can pull that information for you. That Peter Phillips said that there's an unwritten rule between the two parties. And if you go back and check, it was the first time that any of the political parties used crime on their political platform. And he said there was an unwritten rule between the two political parties that they don't put crime on the table, and Andrew come with him policies and put it on the table. And he was ridiculed for it. And of course, nothing really changed, the noise, and people felt a little good about it.
Is it that it conformed to the written rule?
What was the reason for not putting crime on the table, if you don't mind me asking?
Because, again, it's all historical. I think I made this point that there are two different ways that people fight crime. Even in America, you'll find the Republicans deal with crime a different way from how the Democrats do it. There's this liberal approach to crime, and there's this what you call the conservative approach to crime. The conservatives have the view that catch them and lock them up and make them come back out. The liberal will make the victim of crime feel as if them caused the crime, because they give all kinds of excuse. It's because the person never do this, he never have a good parent, he never go to a good school, he never have any good place to sleep and live, and so on. So we have adopted in Jamaica the liberal view about crime. So when we took it over from the Englishmen had no sympathy for crime, for criminals. They just catch them, lock them, and they don't care. When we took it over, we took a view which was far more, what I'd say now, sympathetic. Because it is true that we as Jamaicans just coming out of slavery, we never have anywhere to live, we never have anywhere to work, we never have any education. And so the government, subsequent government, since independence, have taken the view that to address the crime problem, we must spend time educating people, spend more time finding them place to live, giving them work, and so on and so on and so forth. That if they get employed, they have decent place to live, and they are educated, they will commit less crime. So that has been the view. So law enforcement, where criminals are caught and sent to jail, we de-emphasize that. And that has been our cultural set for all of this time. So the hard-nosed policing has never been a part of our approach to crime since that. Now, what has happened in that time, some of the more educated people have become some of the biggest criminals. So it has just, they are far more sophisticated than the police, because people will commit crime as long as they're free to commit crime. It doesn't matter how educated you are. Some of the people who live in some of the biggest houses in the most affluent areas in Jamaica are some of the biggest criminals. So the theory that if you give them more money from jobs, a more better place to live, educate them more, will stop them from committing crime, that has failed. If you still need to have law enforcement. And so what has happened is that we have a neglected law enforcement machinery in Jamaica. And so we are way
Amen.
Now and go tell me about them have some quick fix. And then some little man need to come in, and unless we are prepared to change that, when I hear Dr. Francis talk about it, what do you call it? SOE was never meant to this. Let me tell you something. Any other country that's worth its weight in salt, where we are murdering 50 people per 100,000, that place need to be under a state of emergency.
Well, right. I don't agree with you, because it's not what the problem
guys,
is. Please, it is not working. It is not working.
Please like and hold on. Please like and share this show for me, please. Like, share, and subscribe.
What we want to do when we talk about SOE was not meant. No country was meant to be like what Jamaica is. Jamaica is not the 10 most murderers.
Ronnie, I spent a number of years.
I allow you to. Let me just finish my point. I don't want to lose track of it. I'm saying, in Jamaica, we are in the top 3 most murderous countries in the world. And if a state of emergency is warranted anywhere in the world, that makes it warranted. You understand me? I am looking at El Salvador right now. Because even if we were to get hard nose about law enforcement, there has to be a shock treatment that bring the thing into some level of, normalcy over time. It can't be that it is loose and we just try to fight one crime at a time. Every time that they apply this thing at a, in an area, I come from Montego Bay, so nobody ever tell me about that. I remember when the crime in Montego Bay fell to a third. And there was all this alabaloo, you have to let it go now, let it go, and you let it go, and it just go right back where it's coming from. That happened 4 years ago.
So things are not working out then, Ronnie, what you're saying, right? You have seen it historically that they're not being...
Because it's not the priority.
It is not a priority. It is
not a priority. That's what he's saying.
And when I hear Dr. Francis ready to solve crime problem under the same old regime that we have always had.
What do you mean the old regime? You're the one who's old in the regime, because the fact of the matter is you're telling me that SOEs work, and I worked with SOEs. You don't know nothing about SOEs, Ronnie.
That's a difference of opinion. That's okay.
No, it's not a difference of opinion. None about it in right here now. I work with SOEs, and I'm telling you,
How long have you worked with? Where have you worked with SOEs?
In the Jamaica Defense Force, in the government.
How long? What year was that?
I was there from 1968 to 1979.
Okay, so the only SOE that I can tell you about that let me put your SOE in context. Your SOE in context of about 1976, when they were locking up political opponents. That's what we call SOE back in those days.
No.
The only time that we had SOE is when you have a storm or you have an earthquake or something.
It is not true.
My boss, I lived in Jamaica sensibly through the entire 60s, through the entire 70s, through the entire 80s. The SOE that you can talk about was when they were locking up political opponents in 1976.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about SOEs when a man not able to call to call
State
somebody
of
on his phone and say the
emergencies.
police
Look it
down
up
there,
and
sir.
see when you had state of emergencies in Jamaica. They had it out to the 70s. They have it right, and they had,
They had one in 1976. One.
It was for how long?
For
Remember,
a year.
I was the guy. Guess what?
Almost a
I
year.
was the guy.
And
I was the
because-
guy who held the keys on the opposition that was locked
And
up.
all you
I
guys
was
were
the-
doing, and
I
all you
was
guys
the
were
guy
doing
who
that
held
were
the
locking
keys,
up political
man. I
opponents.
was the guy.
That's when you lock up Colonel Charles. That's when you lock up.
You asked
Basti Gray.
Colonel Charles how he was
That's
treated
when
when he
you-
was in there because it was
They
the
even lock up
opposition
a
who
man
locked
at
up.
the morning. They lock up a man in the morning of the election, you know, because we have an election in the same year, you know. And a man was locked up the morning
Listen to me.
and let go when the polls closed at 5 o'clock evening. Sangster down in Westmount.
I am not a politician.
I live here.
I was, listen, Ronnie, I was a politician after I left the military. And I was a politician when I left because I didn't want to muddy the waters. I wrote a letter about the communist threat to Jamaica in 1980. Go look at it. Look at
Let
it.
us talk about the SOE that you were part of. That me no
I
know
was
about.
a part of the SOEs for I was a force security officer.
I'm saying to you, the only one that you be a part of in
No,
those
no,
time.
no, only one. You don't listen.
Will be 76.
Let's not
They
go
were
in-
none after. They were done before that. After.
Ronnie, you are not aware of these things. I'm sorry to tell you that. You're not
Yeah.
aware. I am telling you from personal experience, okay, what I had to do. And I am telling you, no, it's not a joke, Ronnie. Love you to death, but I'm going to tell you how it is. The fact of the matter is that I am telling you this. And I am
Which year was it? Which year was your SOE?
Listen to me, Ronnie.
Because there's only one in 1976,
No,
and it
that's
was
not-
when the state felt that it was under threat.
No, hold on.
Michael
Ronnie,
Manley believed
Ronnie,
that there was some
let us
forces.
deal with, you are talking about the efficacy of SOEs. And I'm telling you, it is not one of those things that you can pursue as a legitimate exercise for the rule of law. You can't lock up half of your population and what have
No,
you.
you're talking about something, but we pursue the one that was effective in your time.
Effective?
I-
Effective? Oh, Lord, it wasn't effective. It wasn't effective. Not in my knowledge. Let me say this to you. All I'm trying to say is, guys, as I said to you earlier, it seems to have brushed over you. I am saying to you, somebody put it in the chat as to tell them where. You think I'm an idiot? As to tell them where this place is? I would not tell you. The fact of the matter, let me tell you something. It is workable if you sit down with people who are willing to listen and to talk about the facts. We brought, listen to me, in Los Angeles in I can't remember exactly the time, but Los Angeles was the bastion of gangs, the bastion. And they came up with what is called a Safer City Initiative, which reduced Los Angeles from 100% to 50% in 3 years. And we have the guy, his name is Captain Peter Whittingham. We wrote the dossier, and he's a Jamaican. Okay? And I am telling you, they reduce crime and violence in the United States. And so
Well, I can tell you, Dennis, and moderator, let me tell you something. There are two places in Jamaica, two were traditionally very violent places in Jamaica, that they have had dramatic reduction in crime in two places. One of them is up in Augustown, and the other one is in Grand Spen.
Okay.
So if one of them two there,
Ronnie, you and I know so you hit one of them on the head.
those two places you're talking about.
Yeah, you're right, Ronnie. I know, you're right.
You hit one on the head, and you know.
You know, so what is that approach that we can other communities can mimic? What happened?
Ronnie
What is
and I have
preventing
decided. Well, I know first of all, Ronnie and I have to decide that we can stay not energetic long enough to come up with the ideas. What is what we all have to do and to resolve these issues. I know it can be done.
Let me just point out to you. When I was growing up, people always remind me jump around because I see one little swallow and say, let me tell you something, Ronnie. One swallow don't make a summer.
One swallow what?
One swallow does not make a summer. And what does it mean? It means, therefore, that if you can pick out any of the high crime community and overwhelm it with resource, and not one murder is going to be there. The fact of the matter, however, and Chris alluded to it before, Jamaica just has not assembled the resource to do it across the length and breadth of Jamaica. I live next door to Guns Seized, so me know exactly what's going on in Guns Seized. I know that project. That project is even better than the August Town one you're talking about. And just, my helper who lives in Guns Seized could not come out of Guns Seized a few weeks ago. Even though it is one of those highly successful communities that they have been able to bring some order to, because it was really, really bad. But the bottom line is, when you do not have the resource to replicate that from one town to the next, 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 it is just showing you what is possible if you had the resource. And it's from that we know that we are resource trapped. We have not committed enough resources to do it. And that's a problem.
So what I'm saying to you, my brother, then, Ronnie, you have hit the nail on the head. I am therefore saying to you, it does not take the amount of money that we have to spend on SOEs. We are wasting money. We are wasting time. All we're doing is giving soldiers extra children all over the place and policemen. That's what's happening. Okay? And so I'm just saying to you, and if you don't understand that, Christopher, it's here, you make up your face. Don't worry about it. That's what soldiers do.
That is a sad reality. And it's for real, Chris. It is a sad reality.
Listen, let me tell you something.
It's a sad reality. It's true.
Let me tell you something, okay? I don't have
no faces.
I wish I did.
Chris.
But there's one thing I am saying to you, right? One thing I'm saying to you. If we come together with the energy and the resource that we are talking about here, Ronnie and I are saying the same things. We may disagree in certain respects, but we have the answer. All of us have the answer. If we decided to put our heads and hearts together, we will resolve it. I was asked a question tonight, not to digress, as to how
1 minute.
Okay, all right. I'll give. No. It was just a question I was asked, and I found it rather amusing. That not really amusing. That you would be asked that question because how do we know what is the next step? How do we make that next step going forward? I don't believe but I do believe that in a certain degree of punishment, that people, if they are meant. You said something that is very stoic. It says if there are consequences in one's behavior, consequences to one's behavior, then it will resolve itself. And let me make it quite clear. Do you know that there's a statistic that says a father who is in a home with girls, the girls are less likely to become pregnant at an early age? That's a statistic. And it can hardly be debated because it's true. Right? So I'm just saying to you, if we find the fixes, they're not the big fixes. All I'm saying is we have to work together, decide to listen to each other, and then we come to a control. The problem with Jamaica, and that's why we're going to this, if you don't want me to enter that we are having a big debate now.
You could go straight into it, Dr. Francis.
We're having a big debate, and they're asking, why are we protesting? We are protesting because the government will not listen. The powers to be will not listen. They're expending a vast amount of resources, and they're wasting their money and time. It's all bells and whistles, just like a play.
You're referring to
Dr. Francis.
You're not talking about any particular party, right? You're talking government in general.
Government in general.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you given any thought?
Yes.
So in other words, your protesting is to punish the hard-years government. Is that what it is about?
Ronnie, you're a very, very smart gentleman.
I don't. Because
you use your words.
I was listening for the benefit.
I like you so much, Ronnie. I like you so much because I'm not going to answer that question on the grounds it may incriminate me, right? Not really. The point I'm trying to make, Ron, listen to me. I'm not trying to punish anybody. I am trying to prevent punishment.
Okay, so tell me the benefit of it. Let me tell you what is wrong with that protest. Let me tell you what's wrong with it.
Can I first tell you what I think is right with it?
Okay, you can tell me what's right with it, because that's what I want to hear.
No.
What is right with it?
I think that we are saying to the government, listen, we may disagree in methodology, but we're saying to them, look, we believe that we can assist you, and everybody coming together can assist in resolving Jamaica's issues. And the government is saying there are no issues. We have it under control. We say, no, you don't. No, you don't. You people pension pay about for the police, pension this, pension that, and they talk about they have everything to help them fight crime. Not so. It's not true.
Let me ask you a question. How can you be saying that, Dr. Franz? I live here.
You live here, yes. But let me tell you something.
Let me just make the point I'm making. Yes, I live here. I'm attuned to the news.
Yes.
And I hear the government bemoan the problem with crime in this country every day. How they bemoan it, it goes everywhere. I cannot agree with you that the government is here saying
what would you agree when you are the person who is bemoaning it is the real author of it?
I'm not gonna. That's
meaning. Hold on. Did you see that?
Okay, so since you never tell me the benefit, you just tell me say them not here, so you're going to go and protest.
No.
Let me just share with the listener.
I want to listen to what I just said. You should not bemoan something that you are possibly.
No, I'm not getting into them fairy tales. We have to come with
more data. It's not fairy tales. It's the truth. You saw it. Didn't you see the picture that your brother showed the other day? The man went into the camp and they said exactly who they're working with, exactly how they're doing. Didn't you see that?
Let me just tell the listeners the danger of what you're planning to do with that protest. Let me just explain. Because
what's the danger?
Somebody need to know. If you're not here, I'm not getting the benefit from you. So let me just tell you the other side of the story. Because anything we do, I'm a strategist. I'm a business strategist.
Yes.
And from that, I learned that in every strategy that you have, there are upsides and there are downsides.
Yes.
That's
all right. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to wrap that up.
Right. So let me just point out. Crime takes away 5% to 6% of GDP every year. It costs us that for crime in Jamaica. One of the biggest threats that we have due to crime is alienating the country or make the country unattractive to tourists. People would come here and spend money. Last year, it was $4 billion US dollars that we earned from tourists. Every day, the American government get up, the Canadian government get up, and the British get up. These are the three main tourist destinations, source to the country, to tell their citizens, be careful of going to Jamaica because of the crime problem. They said the people come anyway. 4 million people came last, and more going to come this year. They come anyway.
Ronnie, hold on. You don't think that more would have come if they didn't?
No. Let me just tell you. I'm just telling you because that story. I only have 1 more minute now.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So growing up with my grandmother, she always tell me, say, if fish come from river bottom and say that it's deep, you have to believe them. Understand me? This is what I'm saying about that. That even though the government of America and the government of Britain and the government is telling tourists not to come, they still come because they don't believe them. You know who they are going to believe that crime is really down here and stop the tourists and come? Is when they hear some Jamaican come out and talk how badly the thing is in Jamaica.
You know, it is so
sad. These are the fish coming from the bottom.
So sad, Ronnie.
Because you're not talking to anybody else. You're in America, talking to American tourists.
I would expect that so I don't expect that from you because I am telling you, I am invested in Jamaica as much as you are.
You're invested in between you and I, and with the deepest of respect, what you're doing is invested in the destruction of Jamaica.
That is ridiculous, Ronnie. You can say what you want, but you
have to show me the benefit of protesting in America about the crisis in Jamaica.
You know, there's also say the person in the farm. Hold on, your granny used to tell you, say, we'll go every back tell you. But the person, the farmer, is the last to smell his house. The last, because he's in it.
So you're not afraid that you will discourage some tourists from coming to Jamaica?
I am not afraid because they're coming in droves anyway.
Yeah.
What I'm afraid of is killing. What I'm afraid of is killing my fellow human beings every day. 33 in 1 week.
Let me chime in a second, guys. I love when you guys give these old Jamaican sayings. It's so much fun to hear them. I really do.
Chris, you only have. We're gonna wrap up in 3 minutes.
Yeah, but I have to put a little bit of lightheartedness in that, right? I love that stuff with the fish bottom and what Granny saying and what have you on the farmer. That's awesome. Hey, but I think we're missing a point here, right? Whereby I think Ronnie, the victims of crime from Jamaica may not be affecting the tourists. Right? That's much or at all. I don't know, because the tourist areas may not be affecting the tourists. The visitors.
No. What
right?
is it?
Right?
Is it news? It's a news about crime in Jamaica that made Jamaica unattractive. And anybody who made that news higher want to raise a profile.
I hear you, Ron. Listen to my point. Now, I'm trying to say. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not that it's against tourism. If it affects tourism, it's as a side effect of Dr. Francis trying to inform the government or to call them out, so to speak, about the crime in Jamaica, because it is affecting Jamaican citizens. Okay, let's look at that for a point. The victims of the crime we're talking about in Jamaica, who are they? It's not the tourists, It's Jamaican citizens.
Chris, I'm saying that people, unless you believe that negative news about Jamaica will not deter people from coming to Jamaica. That can't be logical. That cannot be logical.
I'm agreeing with your money. I'm agreeing with you.
If Dr. Francis is interested in getting the message, him go and protest at Jamaica House. You don't take a protest about the bad crime situation in Jamaica, in America, in Canada, in all of these different places. That to me, that's malicious. And Dr. Francis just said it himself. He said the reason why he's protesting is because they don't want to hear what I'm have to say.
I did not say. Hold on. You are assuming that I'm alone. I'm reading some of your persons. They don't. Hold on. The $4.5 billion. You talk about 4 billion for the tourists. We sent $4.5 billion down from
We who?
The diaspora, my friend.
The diaspora don't agree with you.
Of course, you don't know. You have no idea
not in agreement with you, Mr. Francis.
The proof of the pudding is in the
people who are sending that money not in agreement with you.
Ridiculous.
You can't claim them when they must say you are in the diaspora, and the diaspora is not in agreement with you.
That is not true. You should see the response. You will see the response in the long run. If it is not agreeing, why are they trying to malign people who are involved with it? Why are they trying to do it? Why is the government doing that?
Because the consequences are clear. And it is an irresponsible act. It is an irresponsible
irresponsibility of killing off our people. There's no irresponsibility in killing off our people.
It is an irresponsible act to be going in America, to be protesting about crime in Jamaica.
Sacrifice on the altar of expedience. Do you have any? Is there no corruption in Jamaica? Is there money that is coming from the USA?
Is there corruption in Jamaica like our corruption? Why not go protest about the corruption in America?
Nothing wrong with that. We can do it. We can do it safely.
Corruption in America. We have murders in America. People have been killed in America.
You can't go to it because man cannot go to $10,000.
I see black Americans every day being killed in America.
Oh,
by white police. And you don't take on that, they don't live in them.
Then why let me ask you a question. Why do everybody come and shop in America? Why they don't go to Russia? Why they don't go to the King Kong country? Why? You tell me why.
Why what?
Why they don't come? Why are they going to America come shop?
Why don't you go and protest against the black people that the American white police are killing?
I am trying to save our country with other persons. A lot of our people.
You are not at risk, Mr. Francis. You live in America. You are more at risk. You are more likely to be killed by a white police.
Everywhere. I live everywhere. I live everywhere.
We are out of time, guys. And
that's irresponsible act. Chris, don't follow them. Don't follow them. It is irresponsible.
I
must say,
Ronnie,
somebody can work out for you the benefit of protesting.
Everybody their opinion. You are
right, guys.
You're wrong, Ronnie. You're wrong.
All right, Sir Francis. What I must say, I really enjoy the difference in opinion, shining light on both ends of this this protest and even the crime situation in Jamaica. I must say to you guys that this is to be continued because there will be Dr. Francis on this platform next week. There will be a Chris and there will be a Ronnie Sutherland. Just to let you guys know, we are arguing this point because we all love Jamaica and we want to fix the problem. We're just having different approach towards the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for us tonight. Sir Ron, thank you for being a part of our discussion tonight. Dr. Francis, thank you. Chris Durant, thank you. Chris, could you just take it away and share what's the plan for Friday?
Well, I think Dr. Francis, I know we've heard a lot from him, but I think he's leading that charge and he's a point of contact. It's in front of the Consul General of Jamaica down in Miami. Between 7:30 or 8 o'clock and 1 p.m. At a 5-hour period there, and it's a peaceful process that protests are going to have. That's demonstrating and voicing their opinion of the lack of attention. Let's just say that the Jamaican government has had regarding managing the corruption and the crime. Simply put, that's it. If Dr. Francis wants to expand on that,
I think there is. I think there's so much more to this, but we are out of time. And I really do have a question to ask, but I will not ask it tonight until next week because Ronnie said we must not go past 24 minutes and we are over hour now. Thank you guys for your participation tonight, and we look forward to meet next week. Peace out, one love. You guys like and share and subscribe. And we'll get it. And unfortunately, well, I'm not going to say it. See you guys tomorrow night. Bye.
All right.